Growing up in Leicestershire in the 1950s, there isn't much to keep a young mind occupied. Children spend the long summer afternoons unsupervised, roaming over every inch of the towns, villages and surrounding countryside, purely for something to do. So when schoolgirl Tina Negus comes to her teachers with tales of strange markings on the rocks near her favourite blackberry picking spot in Charnwood Forest, they shrug it off as little more than the imaginings of a bored adolescent. A year later, 3 more schoolchildren, Richard Allen, Richard Blatchford and Roger Mason, are scrambling over the same rocks when they too spot something curious inscribed in the stone. Despite the conviction of all 3, their jaded teachers refuse to believe them, thinking it merely to be a ruse designed to lure them out into the woods and forego their lessons for a fun day out in the forest. The adults give the matter no more thought, but Roger Mason is not so easily deterred. With the support of his father, who never doubts anything young Roger says, he goes straight to the most senior geologist he can find. Despite his commitments as Professor of Geology at Leicester University, Trevor Ford is won over by Roger's earnest plea and concedes to scramble among the blackberries and over the sloping rocks to see what the boy has found. And as it turns out, none of the schoolchildren had been lying. Pushing aside brambles and leaf litter, Trevor runs his fingers over some of the most remarkable and puzzling structures he has ever seen. They look like leaves or gigantic feathers trodden into the rock by some titanic force. Each of their delicate veins is picked out in exquisite detail by the subtle rise and fall of the sandstone itself. At the time, Ford knew of no mechanism by which a leaf or feather could become so impressed in solid sandstone, except at the moment of that rock's formation, leading him to the inescapable conclusion that this was a fossil remnant of some unknown organism or process. And yet even more remarkably, Ford knows that this area of Charnwood Forest is underlain by some of the most ancient rocks in England. They are Precambrian, long predating the appearance of leaf-bearing plants or feather-clad birds. In fact, these rocks long predate any known fossil visible with the naked eye. This specimen, staring defiantly back from the surface of the rock, is a paradox, a conundrum. In that moment, young Roger and the professor find themselves teetering on the edge of a precipice of discovery, much greater than the small bluff that they are standing on. This find is something stranger than anything the geological world has seen for 100 years. In time, Trevor Ford will extract the precious fossil from its brackeny home. Huge slabs of rock weighing more than 200 kilograms are levered out and transported back to the university. The strange structure is confirmed as a fossil of a long-lost creature of immense Precambrian age. But this Charnia masoni, so named for its modern-day home forest and the tenacious child that found it, is but the first of many such fossils to be ultimately recovered from rocks of that age. And together they paint a picture of a stranger world than any paleontologist would dare to imagine. In the twilight of the Proterozoic, not long before the dawn of animals as we know them, the seafloor bristles with truly alien life. Where before there had been little more than a few branching algae and fungal filaments, for the very first time there are now living behemoths that cast their shadows across the shallows, looming eerily across the abyssal plains. Strange quilted pennants wave in the current. Bushy thickets of fleshy plumes tangle amongst themselves, and vast flattened sheets flap and tumble across the ocean bottom. This is a biological world unlike anything seen before or since, but the Precambrian rocks do not lie. For a brief period, these alien life forms really did rule our seas. What were they? Where did they come from? And what became of these first strange experiments of evolution as the sun rose on the Cambrian world?